No, I got this, buddy. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Where are you?
So, if I can do the speech grammar. So, my name is Brett Michaels, and I'm Colton's older brother. Or maybe I'm the lead singer of the 80s band Poison. There's no real way to know or to even research this. So, please don't worry. I've done my very best to keep this short because, I know Jim and Lois, they have to get on the road soon. Yeah. So now, I've known Colton since the early 90s. And let me say, that was such a different time in America. Society had not yet come to accept Mark Wahlberg for the fine, serious actor that he is. Steven Seagal had just come under siege, showing audiences around the globe how great, or how using a microwave could be a blast. And it was a time when we all still had to be kind and rewind. Now that I've sort of steamrolled through some real early 90s pop culture references, let's get down to business. And I'm going to tell you some stuff they won't teach you in business school. Best man speeches are hard, okay? So, somehow having an amazing, talented brother only makes it harder. And I could be up here rambling on and on for hours about how great Colton is, but I knew I shouldn't. Again, Jim and Lois have to get going. So, I found it quite difficult trying to whittle down what moments or stories in our lives to focus on and to talk about. So, I could have talked about the time Colton's E-stones were a lost day, or the time our cousin Jake and I and Colton were in the Adirondacks on vacation and we asked Colton for a small loan. And rather than give us the money for the loan, he gave us an eagle claw. So, I could have told you how much fun we have wrapping Christmas presents with Pony while watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, even if it takes us 3 days. Or any of the countless times Colton and I have helped Dad just bang it out quick. All these stories are great, but it didn't seem to get to the heart of our friendship. And that's when it hit me. That's my speech. Our friendship. Well, Colton is my brother. And that bond itself is so strong. Hell, there wouldn't be anything like a brother's shirt or a brother's belt without brotherhood. But he is, above all else, my best friend. Growing up, we moved around a lot. My father, Jim, was a Navy Seabee, and he served his country with pride. And with that job came great amount of respect and responsibility, which as kids, I don't think Colton and I totally understood. What we did understand, however, is that that job Dad had meant that we had to move to a different state every couple of years and start over in a different school system and make new friends, and we'd have to do it again and again and again. When we were really little, it didn't seem so bad. Kids seem to be easier in general. Their interests are like G.I. Joes and coloring, so if you like that stuff, you're in. As we got older, kids, they seem to grow up and have more established groups and cliques. They're more involved with each other, their roles are already established, and it's harder to fit in. Every time we would move, my mother, Bernadette, would lovingly tell us that we were truly blessed because we were brothers. We were close in age, and we were moving. It was instant friends. Kind of like the friend you grew up with across the street, but instead of, in different houses, you're in the same house, and you share a bathroom. So, we were young, we would play, and for a time, Mom's words seemed to ring true. But as we got older, moved into those awkward phases, it was harder to make friends, and Mom's words just were not as reassuring. Our relationship felt more like just brothers, rather than brothers who were friends. So, it's not to say that we were cruel to one another, it's just we didn't really see eye to eye. I only actually have one good working eye. I always thought he was trying to cramp my style, and he always thought I was trying to break his Legos.
It was an accident.
It was always an accident. So that's the thing. My brother and I have a lot of similar interests, but we are completely different people. And when we were young, all we could see were these extreme differences. Traditionally, I was a very energetic, outgoing, outgoing, youthful child. And this often meant that I'd be extremely loud and obnoxious. Colton was the exact opposite. He was a bit shy, standoffish, and overall pretty quiet, except for the times that we'd get him crying. In Colton's silence, though, much like a Buddhist monk, came a lifetime of wisdom. In particular, my lifetime's wisdom. Traditionally, it is thought that the older brother teaches the younger brother everything he knows. And let me tell you, this could not have been more true. I can honestly stand here and say I taught everything Colton knows not to do. While I would get in trouble time and time again for saying this, doing that, writing gun on a piece of paper, Colton would just sit and observe and watch me getting into trouble. And while I certainly didn't pay attention because I would end up in that position in another couple of days, or let's be honest, a couple hours, Colton paid double attention. Actually, you know what? That might be the only time Colton has ever paid double for anything in his life, let alone full price. Looking around at this crowd, I assume most of you know Colton. So if you do, you probably know how many hours he's had to work to pay for a bottle of water. And if you don't know Colton, what I'm trying to say is he can be kind of tight with a buck. Let's fast forward to today. While even more similar, our approaches to things in life are still very different. For instance, we both love to go fishing. But when I get a snag, I accept I have the snag, and I cut the line. When Colton gets a snag, he drops his pole, he strips down to his underwear, he dives into the body of water where we're fishing, he splashes around scaring all the fish away, just to find this lure. And it's not that it was a special lure, or a lucky lure, or a family lure. It was because we just bought it that morning and it was 98 cents. We also seem to like older women. But where Colton likes to marry older women, I happen to like older women who are already married. We also really love a good sandwich. So, we love to go out and find great sandwich spots. We love to go out and find great sandwich spots, but even more so, we love making them together. Okay? But herein lies probably the best example I can give of our differences in our life approaches, and it's in our approach to making a sandwich. Colton makes a really great sandwich. I can say hands down, probably the best sandwiches I've ever had come from Colton. But, he'll think about it ahead of time. He'll think about what he wants. He'll think about flavor profiles. He'll think about how he wants to do it, how he wants to get in there, how he wants to make it taste. So, and he'll start folding the meat delicately. He'll toast the bread, he'll fry an egg, or maybe even some bacon if we've got it. He might even heat the meat in that pan where he cooked the bacon, just to keep the flavors going. He'll layer the mayo, the mustard, he might mix in some seasonings. He'll chop fresh vegetables. He just knows what he's doing. And I'm watching him do this. And I think to myself, that looks like it's gonna be a great sandwich. I can't wait to make my awesome sandwich and impress him. So, I'm thinking this though, Because at that time, I'm standing at the refrigerator, doors wide open, with a mouthful of deli meat. I've probably already eaten a tub of yogurt. And then I look back over and I see Colton finishing his sandwich masterpiece. He's adding some chips or some other textural component, and I've now eaten 2 unassembled sandwiches worth of ingredients. And the only thing on my plate is a cold head of lettuce. You see what I'm saying? We both like sandwiches.
Yeah.
And so that's leaving us in the kitchen. For Colton and I, the kitchen is far more than just a place for making sandwiches. Nowadays, our bond is very close, and we enjoy doing so many things together. Golfing, fishing, hiking, gaming, grappling. The list really goes on. But it's in the kitchen where he and I first discovered that we shared all these interests, and we discussed that. You see, when I left for college, that's when Colton and I really started becoming more than just brothers. We started becoming friends. And when I was first in school, I did everything late at night. I did homework at night. I worked out late at night. I did laundry late at night. I traveled late at night. And that normally meant I'd arrive home late at night, much to my parents' disapproval. But it seems whenever Colton knew I was coming home, he would be waiting up for me. Whether it was 11 p.m. or 3 a.m., he would always have the kitchen light on, be at the door, ready to help me unload the car. And we would end up talking in the kitchen, alternating corners, through the night, about any odd number of things while eating any odd number of snacks. It was through these conversations where we started to grow closer and realize how funny we thought each other was. As the years went on, Colton left for college. I got busier, he got busier. Our lives became more independent. We didn't really see each other as frequently as we did when we were growing up in the same house. But, despite all that, we ended up growing closer and closer. And whenever we were home for a visit together, we would end up standing in different corners in that kitchen, talking all night and eating snacks. And this is going to take me to my favorite quote of all time from author Kurt Vonnegut, and it reads, "Understand that friends are going to come and go, but with a precious few, you should hold on. You have to work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle. Because the older you get, the more you need the people who knew you when you were young." I found this quote when I was 16, and at the time I thought it applied only to my friends that I had made and left in Michigan on our last move. But as I get older, I see myself grow, develop, and change. And I realized how true this statement really was. But the only person who knows me, because of the moving, from when I was young till now, is my best friend and my brother. You see, that's the thing about a truly great friend, is you can get into a big fight. You can go long periods without talking to one another. Sometimes you don't think about it. Life's happening. Other times you think about it and it sucks. But as soon as you see that person, they come back into your life, you start talking again. It's as if any of that bad stuff didn't happen and you pick up right where you left off. It's as if the absence never happened. This past year in particular, I have not talked to my brother or seen my brother as much as any other year that I can recall. And there are times, and while I hate to admit it, a lot of times it hurts. But as soon as I talk to him on the phone or see him in person, it's as if we don't live on opposite sides of the country. I don't care that I was mad at him or we didn't talk or I don't know what's going on, because he's there with me right now, or we're talking right then. That's what makes a friendship like ours so important. Obviously, you're gonna have friends that are just that. Maybe you can't rely on them. Maybe they fade out of your life as, life happens. But it's the same with family. We all have family, but that's just a bond of blood. Everyone has a family member you can't stand or tolerate that you just see around the holidays. But it's the bond of a brother that is simultaneously being your best friend. That is stronger than any relationship that I know or can think of, except maybe a wife. And while I'm no expert, I think that's what can make a strong marriage. You're not just a husband to be a husband. You're not just a wife to be a wife. You should, or you could be, each other's best friend. First. I know Colton observed this in his silences growing up with my parents, who to this day, my family still sees them as affectionate high school sweethearts, even though they did not know each other in high school. And I know this is something Colton has always seen and wanted in a relationship, and I think that's what he found. To marry your best friend is a true blessing, because it doesn't matter if times get tough, or if you're away for work for long periods, or if you're just in a fight about any number of things. Because if the friendship is strong enough, you'll come back together from any type of distance or any type of dispute. It'll move aside, and it'll be as that never happened and no time had passed. And all that matters is that friendship. So to Sarah and Colton, I really wish you a happy marriage, and more importantly, a continued growing friendship. Let this be really loud. And to my brother, anytime, anywhere, if you want to come by, my kitchen light will be on, and I'll have cereal in 2 bowls. Thank you to Sarah and Colton.